Hello everyone, welcome to Listen and Sleep, a channel that shares good, meaningful books that you should listen to before falling asleep. On today's main topic we will continue Chapter 3 of the Giza Protocol, a pulse-pounding archaeological thriller.
1987, Manshia Nasir District, Cairo, Egypt. Mohammed Mir Sr. coaxed the throttle of his aging Dayan motorcycle. He reached the edge of Manshia Nasir, bumped over the disused railway line, and turned out onto the freeway. Even at this late hour traffic thronged to and from the city, but at least it was moving. In the passing glow of a streetlight, Mo glanced at his watch. He was late. Very late indeed. Mo pulled back harder on the gas. The bike's faithful engine whined, protesting at the increasing speed. Then with a deep, metallic clunk from somewhere deep within the machine's guts, it accelerated. "That's my girl," Mo whispered, tapping the fuel tank. In the cycles of his normal life, Big Mo would never push the machine to its limits. It wasn't worth the risk of damage. A motorbike repair bill was far more than he and his wife could afford. Plus, working as a nighttime security guard on the Giza Plateau, Big Mo wasn't often in a rush. There was no need to rush when everything you were guarding had already been dead for several thousand years, Mo often joked. Tonight though, that was different. Very different. 20 minutes later, the bulky, angular shape of the Great Pyramid emerged from the muddle of buildings on the right. Mo glanced at the monolith, standing intrepid, unyielding, and mysterious, as it had for thousands of years. If tonight went well, Mo thought, cajoling a little, more speed out of the rattling Dayan, then perhaps one small part of that mystery would be solved. Mo pulled up outside a laundromat in Nazlat El Samman. Once a settlement in its own right, Nazlat El Samman had become engrossed in Cairo's urban sprawl in the worst way. Soulless concrete structures loomed, gaunt and pale, along every street. Zephyrs that once twisted the sand into ethereal spirals, now scattered trash across the streets. Mo kicked down the Dayan stand. 3 other bikes already waited outside the shop, reinforcing to Mo that he was late. A high-pitched screech echoed down the street. Mo spun around on his heels just in time to see the twisted tail of a street cat disappear behind a trash can. The image was a fitting testament to the degradation of his country, Mo thought. Once revered and respected, cats now lived amongst the junk. When there were already too many mouths to feed, and not enough to feed them, with, who really cared? I'm sorry," Mo said, clattering through the door and into the laundromat. He glanced around, but his eyes, still not used to the gloom inside the shop, saw nothing but murky shadows. 3 men lounged against the old washing machines, the fiery ends of cigarettes bobbing. Mo knew them all. He was the last to arrive. "You're late," a man named Bakir said, stepping forward. "Yes, I know, sorry. My son caught me getting ready. That's not a problem, I hope." "Absolutely not. He understands our cause better than most." "Good to hear." Bakir stepped forwards and embraced Mir. "Good to see you, brother. When you were late, we thought the worst. All's good. Let's get started." "Have we got all the gear, everything you asked for?" said a thin wiry man named Fahim. He exhaled a cloud of smoke. "Excellent," Mir said. "Even the camera?" Fahim turned and looked at Mir. "It wasn't easy, but I got it. It must go back tomorrow, though, or it'll cost me big time." Fahim pointed at Mo with his lit cigarette. "It will, don't worry. I've got it all planned. Nothing will go wrong tonight. I know what I'm doing, except your son catching you leaving the house," said Hijazi, the smallest man who hadn't yet spoken. The man's voice, nasal and high-pitched, was uncomfortable to hear. "I told you, that's not a problem." Mo waved a dismissive hand. Hijazi shrugged in a way which indicated he didn't care either way. "It's through there." Hijazi pointed with his cigarette towards the laundromat's back room. Mir strode through to the back room. A flickering bare bulb hung from the ceiling, casting a sepia-toned glow across the space. The old trappings of the laundromat had been pushed against the far wall to create space for their mission. The equipment they needed was stacked on the floor. Mur inspected it. For high-powered waterproof flashlights, several lengths of climbing rope, for large backpacks, and a top-of-the-range waterproof camera. He picked up the camera and turned it around in his hands. Built-in flash, auto-exposure function. It's the best on the market in low-light conditions. Hijazi sidled up beside Mur to examine the camera. Mur smelled the smaller man's pungent odor. "This is fantastic," Mur said. "I don't want to ask how much it cost." Hijazi and Fahim glanced at each other. "Don't you worry about that," Fahim said. "If we're successful today, money means nothing, no?" Mur nodded in agreement. "But boss, are you sure we want to do this?" Fahim said. Mur turned and looked at the smaller man. "I just mean, we don't know exactly what's down there, and we don't know what impact it might have. Tell me, Fahim, how many people are there in your family?" "9 of us, boss." "And how big is your home?" "We do okay. We have 3 rooms. Do you know there are people just like you and me who live in houses with hundreds of rooms? Houses so big they don't even need to see another member of their family, let alone sleep beside one. Some people even have more than one house too, in different countries. What we discover today, I hope, will not just improve the lives of us and our families, but equal the balance for people across the world." Mur looked at Fahim. The smaller man blinked, then shrugged. "If you say so, boss. Just checking you know what we're getting into, of course. We've been preparing this for years." Mur glanced at his watch. "Get ready. It's time to go." As the men extinguished their cigarettes and pulled on their backpacks, Mur drew back the dusty carpet covering the floor. He stepped towards a wooden panel set into the middle of the floor. Together, Mur and Bakir lifted the panel from its mounting, exposing a roughly hewn staircase. They leaned the panel against the wall, then stepped back towards the exposed staircase. "How did you know this was here?" Hijazi asked, staring down into the hole. "Several years ago, I uncovered a secret document which detailed access to the area beneath the Giza Plateau." Mur checked his watch. "Enough questions, all will become clear. We don't have time to waste." Muhammad Mur flicked on his flashlight and stepped down onto the staircase. Originally built as the spiral staircase wound its way around a shaft with fresh water at the bottom. Villagers wanting to use the well would have descended the stairs with a bucket and collected the water by hand. The group carefully picked their way down the stairs in silence. "There's a passage just under the water there," Mur said, shining the flashlight on the water's surface. A shimmering reflection sparkled across the shaft's walls. The well here had narrowed to a little over 6 feet, with clear water lapping over the lowest steps. "It works like an airlock. It'll take about 30 seconds to get through, so you'll be fine holding your breath. I'll go through with a rope first. You can use the rope to drag yourself through. Then we'll use the rope to drag the bags through. Bakir, you go last." Bakir nodded and set about tying the bags to the rope. "What is this place?" Fahim said, staggering out of the water on the other side of the airlock a couple of minutes later. They were in a tunnel which ran straight for as far as he could see. He stepped towards the wall and ran his hand across the blocks of granite covered in mysterious hieroglyphs. "Welcome to the underworld of the soul," Mur said, steadying the rope for Hijazi and Bakir. Hijazi appeared from the water, then the 3 men pulled in the rope, dragging the bags beneath the water. Bakir swam after the bags, helping propel them forwards. The men slipped their bags on again and Mur led them down the passage.